Well, here we are, the first post-Flash DC film, which, according to James Gunn, introduces the first superhero in the new DCU, has been released. I have to admit, going into this film, I wasn't expecting much more than a very standard superhero origin film, and I guess that is what we got for the most part. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing, and I will say I did end up liking it a lot more than I thought I would. I mean, I expected to like it, don't get me wrong, but I didn't expect it to be great or anything, and while it wasn't great, it was very enjoyable. The plot is simple. Young Jaime Reyes, just out of law school, returns home to Palmera City and his poor Mexican family with dreams of making enough money to get them all out of the poor section of the city into the, well, richer section, I guess. After Jaime is fired from a menial job by Victoria Cord, he fortunately meets her niece Jennifer Cord, who also happens to be the daughter of Ted Cord, and if you know Blue Beetle lore, you know who that is. When he goes to meet her at Cord Tower, however, she instead gives him a Big Belly burger box and tells him to guard the contents with his life. She also tells him not to open it, which he does, of course. Inside is the Scarab, a piece of world-destroying parasitic alien tech which immediately bonds itself to Jaime, transforming him into the new Blue Beetle. Jaime must then protect his family and himself from Victoria Cord and Carapax, who want the Scarab for their own nefarious purposes. Again, at its core, this is a very simple story and there's nothing terribly original about it. But I don't understand why people think that's a bad thing. It's still different enough that it's not just a rip-off of The Amazing Spider-Man or something like that. People have gotten so caught up in franchises and sequels that they've forgotten that to get to those franchises, you need simple films like this to introduce the world and the characters. What really makes a difference to me is whether or not that world and those characters are interesting enough to make you want to spend time there. And for me, they were for the most part. Zola Maladuena was, in my opinion, pretty great casting for the title character. The young man reluctantly caught up in the adventure and who has no clue what he's doing. The rest of the cast, they all did a great job. It's a short review, so I won't list the whole cast. You know, the whole Reyes family was pretty good. Also, I can't pronounce their names. All the characters were well written, well acted, and for the most part felt like real characters with real problems, and they were all pretty likable. Except Susan Sarandon as the main villain, but you know, she's the villain, so she's not supposed to be likable. The visual effects were kind of a mixed bag. I'd say 80% of the CGI in here was masterfully done. Any scene with the Blue Beetle suit looked fantastic. There were a few moments I thought were a little wonky here and there, especially some of the CGI involving Carapax, but it wasn't enough to draw me out of the story or single it out as really bad. Wonky CGI is par for the course with Hollywood lately, although I'm not convinced it's so much that the CGI is bad as maybe it's just that the general public is getting better at spotting it. But that's another discussion for another time. Along similar lines to the CG, the action in the film is again nothing new, but done very well and balanced with some decent humor here and there, although also with some less decent humor. I will say most of the humor worked for me, but while there were also a few moments that were, shall we say, a bit cringy. But then again, humor is very subjective. There were a few moments I thought were veering on cringe central, but which got huge laughs from other parts of the theater I was in, so what do I know? There was also quite a bit of genuine heart involved with the family and the threats surrounding them. I'm not going to give away major plot points, but I will say I did not expect to cry in the middle of this film. Or the end. I did not expect to cry at all. As I said, however, everything is subjective. That's what makes reviews so difficult, and why I personally don't tend to watch them before I go see a movie. I like going in blind, deciding for myself whether I like a movie. And I did like this one for the most part. Was it the best superhero movie ever? No, definitely not. The best DC superhero movie? No. But for me, it was a fun, pleasant surprise. I liked the characters and the world set up in this film, and since we know James Gunn has said he has plans for the character in the DCU, I look forward to seeing them continue. As long as the box office doesn't change that. I hope it doesn't. This has a really intriguing setup for more installments in the future, and I am sick and tired of things being set up and never followed through with. So please, James Gunn, just find a way to use Blue Beetle either way. But it is now time to end the review with a rating of, I would say 7.5 out of 10. Not a perfect film, but an enjoyable one. So ta-ta for now. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, including a review of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom when it comes out, and other DC, Doctor Who, and Star Wars related videos, etc. But for now, I have been Chester Westerford, and I will see you later. Goodbye.